It was a cold and windy day, like most days high up in the mountains. The clouds were a dreary gray, gently covering the tops of the snow-capped land off in the distance. A breeze was light in the air, but chilling, bringing tidings of snow for the later evening. I was so far from my small abode, but so close, so very close. One more ingredient for my latest creation, a potion of true power unlike any had ever seen before. The townspeople called me crazy, banished me from within the walls of their small city, but I would show them. Yes, I would. I trudged over the chilled stone dirt path, my feet beginning to numb from both distance and the cold. The worn burlap sackcloth I had tied around them provided little protection anymore, filled with holes and shredded from journeys past. I let out a heavy breath, the frosty air becoming quickly visible in front of me before dissipating into the atmosphere like an apparition before my eyes. I leaned on my walking stick and paused for a moment once I reached a bend in the road. I stood and pulled my dark brown cloak hood off of my head for a brief second, revealing my long white hair, hastily wrapped with a small band of leather into a long tail. I listened intently while standing among the forest of trees and flora around me. I could hear the wind whispering past my ears and gently caressing the fronds of the trees in its icy embrace. In the distance, a raven called out in an echo through the valleys. I focused harder, shutting my eyes and putting a hand on my head to hold myself steady, my ears dialing in on another subtle sound in the near distance. It was a faint singing, a single note humming directly in front of me, off the path and through the deep wood. I opened my eyes and brought my hand down to grasp my long white beard, petting the rough ice-encrusted bristles of my mustache and goatee softly. Finally, I had found what I needed. Without hesitation, I leaned back on my wooden walking stick and moved off the path onto a surface coated with pine needles and dirt, slowly shuffling my feet through the small green bushy plants below towards that soft sound. Before I knew it, the path behind me had disappeared from view, and I walked deeper and deeper along my instinctual path into the dark forest. The humming grew only slightly louder, but never faded from my senses. A sharp thorn pierced through the shoddy cloth shoes I had fashioned, causing me to wince and pause to sit on a dull gray boulder nearby. I brought my foot up onto my other knee and plucked the small nuisance out to toss it into the brush behind me. I slowly rubbed my battered foot, bruised, dirty, and calloused from all the journeys. The cold winds stirred an ache within my bones. I felt so sore and tired as I sat on that hard surface. It would soon be worth it. I just needed to press on. I steadied myself on my walking stick and stood once again, still hearing the faint noise, to move forward. I put a hand on the head of my small hand axe across my belt, feeling slightly more secure with it by my side at the ready. A crackling noise suddenly startled me from the left side. I flinched and gripped my axe tightly, unsheathing it from the belt loop and holding firmly onto the splintered old wooden grip. The little light in the area gleamed off the old, yet sharp blade as I looked around. A deer began frolicking away from me to my left, cracking more twigs underneath her feet as she fled. I breathed out a heavy sigh of relief and put my weapon back in place among my belt. Although it felt like hours to my aching feet, I soon found myself in a small open grove. A perfectly circular opening in the tree line, with lush dark green grass all around inside. The singing hum was louder now, hinting that I was close to my quarry. I felt an energy surge through me from the excitement, heading towards the sound as quickly as I could. Among the plentiful grass, a small green mushroom grew, exceptionally tiny in size and camouflaged to its surroundings. It was very difficult to see among the tall foliage. I listened closely, the only indication of its existence being the hum of the wind through its porous body. Following the faintly emitted tone, I had found the final piece to my potion, the singing Eldspar mushroom. I knelt on the frozen ground, the slightly damp grass wetting the fabric of my brown cloth robe. My walking stick dropped to my side along the ground as I sat. Gently brushing my hand through the blades of grass and gripping the fungus, I quickly plucked it upwards in one fluid motion. The stem cracked audibly as I ripped it upwards, attempting to harvest as much of it as I possibly could. It broke easily between my fingers, falling into the palm of my hand as I brought it up closer to my face to look at it in better detail. The humming noise did not fade as the wind whipped in front of me, causing the small toadstool to whistle back. I admired the dark green detail in the cap and the deep brown of the stem, amazed that such a seemingly insignificant piece of vegetation could hold so much power to me. I looked up suddenly in the sky, the wind growing ever quickly more violent. The dark gray clouds swirled and twisted above me. The snow would be upon the hilltops soon, along with the darkness of night. I had to get back to my hut in the distant valley before nightfall, else I'd risk much more than I'd anticipated. I pulled my light beige leather satchel in front of me from my side and undid the binding on it, opening it up to reveal several bits and pieces of traveling gear. With one hand, I reached inside, clinking through the mess of items until I finally found a small, dirty glass vial. I popped the cork off the top loudly and softly placed the small mushroom inside before enclosing the bottle again. I set the jar inside my bag among the rest of the clutter and sealed it tightly, tying the leather drawstring yet again. I gripped my walking stick and jammed it into the soft, yielding ground next to me, using it to pull myself up onto my feet. It was a long road back, but having now found the final piece to my magnificent creation, I felt energized and ready for whatever the return path had in store for me.